what is China's official policy on silver. We know that they came in with new regulations, export controls. They allow something like 40 organizations to export silver. But basically, behind that, there is, if you like, the intent to have a firmer control over the export of silver from China. All this is designed, I think, to put the squeeze on someone, us, I don't know, America, President Trump. They have it within their power, actually, to flood the market with silver, but they're not doing it. Well, I would say that you could argue that a higher silver price would not disadvantage photovoltaic and electric vehicle manufacturer, simply because China is a better user, if you like, of overall manufacturing resources than anywhere else. I mean, if anyone's going to find it very difficult to make photovoltaic cells with a high silver price, it won't be China. I mean, okay, it means that the price of photovoltaic cells will rise, but because China is a far better manufacturer than anywhere else. It's got the technologies, it's got the scale, it's got the automation, it's got, beat that, mate, I think is the sort of message. And so in that sense, I think the silver price is immaterial. And we're talking about two activities, PVs and also EVs, which, are pretty inflexible economic-wise. I mean, if you get a downturn in the global economy, there's still going to be a huge demand for particularly photovoltaics. And China's virtually, sweeping the market with electric vehicles. There isn't any meaningful quantities of silver around. So if you get someone chucking out billions in paper, I mean, it's just going to lead to a squeeze later because there is not. I mean, if you're going to go short of something like that, then it only works if there are an awful lot of people long and you can shake the trees and get these punters out and force them to close. That's the only way in which a short really works. I mean, unless you're talking about investing in a company which goes bust. You've got some inside information. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a situation that requires people on the other side of the transaction to sell after you so that you can retrieve your position. And if you're going to go and sell a huge quantity of futures or sell forward, huge amounts, whatever, then in the absence of that cover, you're going to get squeezed on the way out. And this chap, apparently he made a fortune or something in gold. I must admit, I haven't really got to grips with the story, but
he made about $3 billion in betting long on gold since 2022.
Well done him. Yeah. I mean, if he's gone and shorted silver, I think what I would say is that his long position in gold was either on the back of information from, let us say, the highest contacts in government in China. There's no doubt that China has been a major force in driving the value of gold. Or alternatively, he just got lucky. It happens. It does happen. But you know what trading is like? You trade, you think, oh, God, aren't I clever? I've made a fortune, done very well. I can't lose. I know what I'm doing. So you go and make another bet, and then what happens? You get killed. That's the way trading works, for most of us anyway. So I'm not impressed. And I would say that, what I do know is that the people who are trying to stack silver in size, there's none available. And you go to the refineries, and they say, sorry, we haven't got any. We're too busy doing gold. If you want gold, go and join the queue. You could probably get some gold, but silver, forget it. That's just, there's none, full stop.
Yeah, and silver is currently trading at $75 spot. Good luck trying to get $75 spot anywhere. Trying to find $75 spot at any dealership or from anyone at this point. Yeah. So you're going to be looking at premiums, massive premiums.
Yeah. It's fascinating. If you look at the open interest on COMEX in silver, it's pretty low, which confirms that the punters are just not in it, And I think this shakeout that we've had really from the end of the February contract, really the consequence is that there is a platform, I think, for the silver price to go considerably higher than it might have done otherwise on this run. It looks good to me. But of course, you've got to have a bit of nerve because it's quite volatile. But there we are. This is why I always tell people, for goodness sake, don't try and double guess it, because there are people in there far larger than you who will whipsaw you. Thing to do is just stack. Don't worry. Just stack and don't worry. And I mean, you could have been stacking silver for years, but eventually the whole thing came right. And it looks to me as if it'll continue to come right, because assuming gold goes higher, and that's another story which I'm sure we will talk about, then, silver, I think, has got a long way to go. And, we know that China has been moving to use gold, if you like, as part of international trade settlement. And, the obvious way in which they do this would be to make the yuan, international yuan, exchangeable for gold. But the question then arises, what are they going to do in the domestic market? Now, fortunately for China, and also India, incidentally, both those nations have exchange controls. So they can actually come up with a different answer for the domestic market, domestic yuan, with the international. Now, my assumption is that central banks are extremely jealous of their gold reserves. They want to hold on to them. So they don't want their people, the great unwashed, taking gold out of the central bank, which, I've got an argument which says that they should actually just go on a gold standard full stop. But I don't think that's the way they're thinking. But I do think that they could easily, with the gold they've got and the silver they've got, I'm talking about China rather than India now, they could easily at some stage fix a relationship between gold and silver so that the domestic yuan is on the silver standard while the international yuan is on the gold standard. Now, if that's the case, you've got to ask yourself, well, first of all, what price is gold going to be? Well, say in dollars rather than yuan, to get a rough idea. And the second question is, what is the ratio going to be that the Chinese will fix it? And I think whichever way you look at it, you come up with a far, far higher price for silver. And I think the other thing, Danny, is that, bear in mind that there's something like a 30% savings rate in household savings rate in China. And that's throwing out, $5-6 trillion equivalent going into investment, and property market, dead. Stock market, well, it's been sort of reasonable, I suppose, but it's not everybody's flavor. So what's happened is that the majority of these savings have just gone into deposit accounts, which the banks are being quite constructive in terms of, let's, instead of paying you very little for 1 year, why don't we make it 3 years and we can up the interest rates? But the People's Bank of China has been cutting interest rates. And the major banks, what do? They offer a gold accumulation account alongside your deposit account. So savers can go and literally just put in 500 yuan a month, if you like, or a lesser amount, into a gold accumulation account. And we're talking about, in a year, we're talking about a portion, and a goodly portion, of about $5 trillion. So, the other aspect of this is I think that when it comes to actually, a Chinese individual actually going and buying gold as opposed to running a gold accumulation account, they probably look at gold and think, well, gold is, I haven't worked out what the price is in yuan, but, let's say it's $5,000 or whatever. But silver, on the other hand, is $100. I can afford silver a lot more than I can afford gold. It's so here again, you can see that Chinese individuals and also Indian individuals are going to go, and I think already are going for silver in quite a big way. The point about it is that in Asia, silver has more recently been physical money in everybody's experience. Whereas in America and in Europe, we see it as small change. It's no more than small change for us.